Hi, Rock and Roll Daycare community. It's Barb. I hope everyone's doing well. Happy Tuesday Training Tools Day. Starting the new year, you've probably, or you maybe heard that each month we're going to be focusing on a certain training theme that we're going to break down into certain different focuses each week for all of us to be working on together as a team. So directors to teachers to admin to anyone really is going to be getting the same weekly focus around the same theme for the month. So our hope and goal is that when we're all focusing on the same focus or the same goal, that we'll be holding each other accountable, that we'll be learning together, and that we'll just really start to be able to really understand some of these concepts as a whole community to help better our program, help you grow as teachers, and help support our children in the most meaningful way that we can. So January's theme is going to be respect of the child, respect for the child. And we're going to break it down into, like I said earlier, some weekly focuses. So for today's call, I'm going to get my PowerPoint up, so I'll share that now, and we'll go over what the theme will be for this week and what we're going to be focusing on. Okay, so respect for the child. January 2020, woohoo, happy 2020. So this week's focus, we're going to be focusing on we're never going to touch a child unless invited by him or her. Okay, so they're going to be really simple focuses. We're not going to make it too complex. We're going to break it down for you so you can be able to just put all your energy into time into really practicing what the focus is. So again, never touch a child unless invited by him or her. Let's talk about this. So our approach with this. Does this mean we should never physically touch a child? Okay, of course that answer would be no, because that would be nearly impossible when you work with infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. There's a lot of reasons why we do have to touch the children throughout our day. However, we are going to make sure that we're using, our approach is that invitation part of it. Okay, so I put invitation in quotes, and what that looks like and how we're approaching children and what our words are with children before we are physically handling them to ask them to do something. So yes, no, that does not mean we're not touching children, but our approach is going to be what we're focusing on and what we're really trying to improve. So I'm going to ask you some questions. And some of you, this may be familiar because we've done this in some professional development days as a fun little activity. But I want you to really think about this. How would you feel if you were sitting at your desk, working on some work, maybe checking your phone during your break, and someone that just came up from behind you didn't know with a wet wipe and just wiped your face? Probably wouldn't love it. Maybe it would be cold and you didn't know you needed to wipe your nose. Ugh, not okay. Or what happens if you were just sitting there and you were on the bus coming to work and someone you didn't know just grabbed your hand and started pulling you off your seat? Would you go with them? Most likely not. You may be a little resilient because, no, I don't want to go with you. I don't know what you're doing and I don't know who you are. No, you wouldn't like it. Or if you were just sitting there and someone tried to put a shirt over your head or a vest, or even worse, tried to take a piece of clothing off of you. Not okay. That is never okay, right? So if you wouldn't do that to a friend, you wouldn't want someone to do that to you, whatever it is. So all these things, right, if done to us as adults would be unacceptable. But if you think about your day with your infants, your toddlers, and your preschoolers, there's probably a good chance that you've done some of even just these three things throughout your day without actually asking the child if you can do it first. So that's the invitation part, asking them if you can do it or telling them I'm going to do this, okay? So let's, again, think about our days and why do we usually need to touch the children? Well, we need them to do something or we need to do something to them. So we need to change a diaper. We have to wipe their nose and wash hands. And that's just it. When we're not asking them before, we are actually doing something to them. And the goal is always to do something with them, make them a part of the process. But if we don't have that invitation, if we're not asking them or telling them what we're doing, then we are just doing it to them, and that's never okay. That's disrespectful. And to show that respect, we make them a part of the process. Okay. We may need to follow through with what we need to say. If they're having a behavioral, moment where they need some extra support, we may need to have to touch the child to pick them up because we asked them to do something and they weren't listening. And it would be disrespectful to just do it without telling them. But if we're explaining it to them, then it becomes a learning moment for them, because we need to keep them safe. If they're climbing a table, we can't just be like, get down, be careful. We have to go over and say to them, your body's not safe. I need to help you right now. And sometimes, and more often than not, we physically move children or touch them because it's easier and because we can. And when we're rushing around with 9 other children in the classroom, or if you're in a preschool classroom, 20 other children in the classroom, sometimes it's easier to scoot them along or to just wipe the nose real quick because you don't want to get into it with them because, that could cause some more issues. But if we're doing this on a constant basis and never asking them or never explaining to them, then that's just this constant disrespect towards the child. And we're really trying to get away from the convenience of being able to physically move a child because we can, because we're bigger, and move into that respectful zone, if you will, of, okay, we're in this together and I'm going to help you. So the next time before you go pick up or touch a child, I would like you to please try the following. And again, everyone in your building is getting the same training. So your directors are going to be aware of this, the curriculum directors, anyone part of the RRDC community is getting this. So everyone's going to be really mindful of these next tasks. We want to stop and make eye contact with the child, okay, before we ask them or tell them what we're going to do. We cannot assume a child is listening when we're talking above their eyesight or we're not even talking towards them. It's a lot easier when I'm facing the screen and giving you this information versus me trying to turn my body and not talk. You wouldn't be able to hear me if I was looking down like this and you couldn't see me, or if I was talking like this, or if I had my back to you. So with adults, we give that eye contact, and so you're able to listen with more ease. And for children, that means we have to get to their level, and we need to, speak slowly so they can hear us. Okay, so that's the first step. I want to see teachers getting down and making that eye contact and getting that connection before saying anything to a child. And then you're going to tell the child what you're going to do. So again, if you need to wipe their nose, we're not just going up and taking the tissue. You're going to make eye contact and say, your nose is running. I'm going to wipe it with this tissue. And they may not like that. And we're going to talk about that after, but you need to approach them with this invitation of what you're doing. With the infants, even our young infants, we need to be telling them what we're doing. It's time to change your diaper. I'm going to pick you up now. And even when they're on the changing table, talking them through this, making them a part of the process. So again, we're not doing anything to a child. We're having them be part of the process. Or, with a child who's climbing, you're not being safe. I'm going to move your body to the floor. There's a big difference there than get down and taking a child's arm. Okay, that's not respectful, and that's not teaching them anything. But coming at them with a stern yet soft, which kind of sounds counterintuitive, but that approach of, I'm here to keep you safe, but I'm doing this in a warm way because I'm doing it because I care. Okay. So again, going right after that would be the tone of voice. So be mindful with your tone of voice. It does not have to be strict or stern or threatening. Okay, so we can be confident in what we're saying, but in a friendly, welcoming way. So we don't have to be sing-songing, like, get down, but we also don't have to be like, get down. So we just be thinking how you would want to be approached or spoken to by your boss or your admin or anyone in your life, your coworkers. Because often than not, when you come with that strict, stern approach, children tend to be more resistant because they don't, that's threatening to them, and that doesn't feel good to them. Whereas if you're friendly and welcoming and warm, and you're making those boundaries really clear, they'll be a little more more willing to go along with what you're doing. And then the acknowledgement part of it. So again, I was saying earlier about the wiping the nose, or sometimes we have to pick up a child or touch them and they're not happy about it. But again, if they're not being safe, then we have to do that. And we'll say before, you're not being safe, so I'm going to take you down. And if they're not happy, we're not saying, oh, get over it. Oh, well, you weren't being safe, or calm down. It's okay. It's no big deal. We don't want any of that. Whatever they were doing that was really meaningful to them. Maybe they didn't know it was not safe. So we just want to acknowledge their feelings. So if they're crying because you had to physically move them, you can take a moment and get down with them and say, you were crying. I see you're mad because I moved your body away from the blocks. You were not being safe, and I'm here to keep you and your friends safe. And again, that you can apply that to any of your learners. So if you have younger toddlers who don't have that much language, you could obviously simplify it. But again, just acknowledging it. So they're really understanding, okay, this is why the teacher did this to me. And it becomes that learning opportunity versus something was done to me and I don't really know what it was. Okay. Or another example, I'm sorry you do not like to get your nose wiped, but I want to make sure you're clean. Again, that acknowledgement and that, just explanation of why you did what you did. So when you show this type of respect to the child, well, first of all, they're going to know what to expect. Because again, when we were back on that slide, when I said, how would you like it if, you wouldn't like it because you weren't expecting any of those actions, and that automatically puts you on the defense. And that's not a good place to be. We don't want our children to be feeling that way. So when they know what to expect, they'll feel less threatened. And when they feel less threatened, they will trust you more. And that trust is the foundation of everything that happens in our classroom. If our children are not trusting us, then we're never going to be able to connect with them on the level that we want to help them learn and grow to their greatest capacity possible. So that trust is so important, and it starts with the respect of what we're doing with the children. And when there's a peaceful child, it leads to a peaceful classroom. So basic summary here, we're never touching a child without invitation. So again, not asking them or telling them what we're going to be doing next. So we tell a child what we're doing before we're doing it. We acknowledge feelings, and we're always being caring and loving with our words and actions. Okay? So very important theme. Like I said, we try to make it really simple so we can all be following along at the same time. I'm hoping that you can see a shift in your classroom if you're feeling that you need an improvement in this area. And if you feel like you're already doing this, then keep it up. You are acting as a model for other teachers, and you can be sharing techniques that you have been using in your classroom as well. We all want to be working as a team and just sharing our strengths and learning together. So I hope everyone has a great week, and I look forward to seeing the progress in each of your classrooms. Have a great day.